Hey, it's Elena. Revenge Shift tells stories you won't forget. Subscribe if you're ready. Let's begin.
My name is Claire Westwood and I'm a senior software architect for a healthcare company. I make good money, $187,000 annually, and I've been financially independent since I was 23. I'm 34 now and I've owned my 3-bedroom craftsman house in Portland outright for a decade. No mortgage. My name alone on the deed. But to my parents, facts have always been negotiable when it comes to my golden child brother Marcus. The day everything exploded started ordinarily enough. I was working from home, finishing a code review on my laptop in the sunroom I'd renovated 2 years earlier. The doorbell rang at 11:47 a.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door to find both my parents standing there with Marcus and his wife, Jennifer. Behind them I could see a U-Haul truck idling at the curb. "Pack your things. Your brother and his wife are moving in tomorrow," Mom said, not even greeting me first. She was already looking past me into the house, mentally rearranging my furniture. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Don't make this difficult, Claire," Dad said, his tone suggesting I was already being unreasonable. "Marcus and Jennifer need this house. They have a baby on the way." I stared at them. "Into the house I've owned for 10 years? Dad actually laughed. It was condescending, dismissive. "You don't own the family home, Claire. We bought this house. We've always thought of it as family property." The audacity took my breath away. I'd purchased this house entirely with my own money in 2014. My parents had never contributed a single dollar. They'd never even lived here. "This isn't the family home," I said slowly. "This is my house. I bought it. My name is on the deed. Mine alone." Mom waved her hand like I was being tedious. "Semantics. Your father gave you the down payment money." "No, he didn't. I saved $78,000 for the down payment myself. I have bank statements proving every deposit." Marcus spoke up for the first time, his voice tight with manufactured patience. "Claire, we don't have time for your dramatics. Jennifer is 4 months pregnant. We need more space than our apartment. You live here alone. It's selfish." "Selfish?" I repeated. "To live in the house I purchased?" "You're being difficult on purpose," Jennifer added, her hand on her small bump. "Family helps family. We'd do the same for you." That was demonstrably false. When I'd needed help moving 7 years ago, Marcus had been too busy, and my parents had said I should hire movers since I made so much money anyway. "Let me be very clear," I said. "This is my house. Legally, financially, in every possible way. You cannot move in. You were not invited." Dad's face darkened. "We're not asking permission. Marcus needs this house more than you do. You can move into a smaller apartment. You don't need 3 bedrooms and a yard for one person." I pulled out my phone. "What are you doing?" Mom demanded. "Calling my lawyer," I said, already scrolling to Richard Chen's number. Richard had handled my real estate purchase and my estate planning. He picked up on the second ring. "Richard, it's Claire Westwood. I need you at my house immediately with documentation proving I own my property. My family is attempting to move into my home without permission and refusing to leave when asked. I also need you to contact the sheriff's department. I'm about to have a trespassing situation." "I'm 12 minutes away," Richard said immediately. "I'll call Sheriff Mitchell directly. Don't let them inside." I ended the call. My family was staring at me. "You called your lawyer?" Marcus said incredulously. "On your own family? You're attempting to steal my house," I said flatly. "What did you expect?" Mom's face twisted. "This is exactly like you, Claire. Always so cold. Always choosing strangers over family. We raised you better than this." "You raised me to be independent and self-sufficient," I corrected. "I'm simply being what you made me." Dad stepped forward, trying to push past me into the house. I held my ground in the doorway. "Move, Claire. We're going to start unloading Marcus's things. If you set foot inside my house without permission, you'll be arrested for trespassing and breaking and entering." "You wouldn't," Dad said, but there was uncertainty in his voice now. "Watch me." We stood there in tense silence for exactly 11 minutes. Then a BMW pulled up behind the U-Haul, and Richard Chen emerged with his briefcase. 30 seconds later, a sheriff's patrol car arrived. Sheriff Mitchell, a woman in her 50s who'd handled a neighbor dispute for me once before, approached with a neutral expression. Ms. Westwood, your attorney indicated you're having a property dispute? These individuals are attempting to move into my home without permission, I said calmly. They're claiming ownership rights they don't possess. Richard was already opening his briefcase. Sheriff Mitchell, I have the deed to this property. Claire Westwood is the sole owner. Purchase date June 2014. No co-signers, no co-owners. The mortgage was paid off in full in 2019. I also have the title insurance documentation and property tax records showing Ms. Westwood has paid all taxes on this property for 10 years. He handed her a folder. She reviewed it carefully. And these individuals? Sheriff Mitchell asked, gesturing to my family. My parents and brother, I said. They have no legal claim to this property. They've never lived here, never paid toward it, never held any ownership stake. Sheriff Mitchell turned to my parents. Do you have any documentation suggesting you have rights to this property? Dad's face was red. We don't need documentation. We're her parents. We gave her the money to buy it. Do you have proof of that financial gift? Richard asked smoothly. Bank transfers, checks, a loan agreement? Silence. Because I have Ms. Westwood's complete financial records from 2013 and 2014, Richard continued. Every deposit into her down payment savings account came from her employer via direct deposit. There are no large deposits from any other source. Mom was looking panicked now. This is absurd. Claire, tell them this is a misunderstanding. We're family. It's not a misunderstanding, I said. You came to my house uninvited, demanded I vacate my own property and attempted to move someone else in. That's attempted theft and trespassing. Sheriff Mitchell closed the folder. I'm going to need all of you except Ms. Westwood to clear this property. This is private property and the owner has asked you to leave. This is ridiculous. Marcus exploded. She's my sister. Jennifer is pregnant. We need this house. Your needs don't supersede property law, Sheriff Mitchell said firmly. Leave now or I'll arrest you for trespassing. Jennifer started crying. Mom put her arm around her. Claire, please. Think of your niece or nephew. They need a good home. Then Marcus should provide one, I said. As I've provided for myself. Dad pointed at me, his hand shaking with rage. You'll regret this. We're done with you. Completely done. I can accept that, I said. They left. The U-Haul pulled away with whatever belongings they'd already loaded. Sheriff Mitchell took a formal statement from me, and Richard made copies of all the documentation. Do you want to pursue charges? Richard asked after the sheriff left. Not yet, I said. But document everything. I suspect this isn't over. I was right. Over the next week I received 47 phone calls from various family members. Aunt Linda called me selfish and cruel. Uncle Robert said I was destroying the family. My cousin Stephanie sent a long text about how disappointed my late grandmother would be. I blocked most of them after they refused to hear my side. Marcus started a social media campaign. He posted on Facebook about his heartless sister, who refused to help her pregnant sister-in-law, and was hoarding a family home she didn't even need. He tagged mutual friends, distant relatives, people I'd gone to high school with. The post got 340 shares before I screenshotted it and sent it to Richard. This is defamation, Richard said when I showed him. He's making false claims that damage your reputation. The house was never family property. Can we send a cease and desist? Absolutely. I'll have it drafted today. The cease and desist letter arrived at Marcus's apartment via certified mail 3 days later. He called me 62 times in the following hour. I didn't answer. Then my mother called. Claire, you sent your brother legal threats? Your own brother. He publicly lied about me and my property. That's defamation. He's upset. Jennifer is crying constantly. They're living in a cramped apartment. They can't afford anything bigger on Marcus's salary. Marcus worked in sales and made approximately $52,000 a year. Jennifer didn't work. They'd chosen their financial situation. That's not my problem to solve by giving up my home, I said. We raised you to care about family. You raised me to believe Marcus's needs always came before mine, I corrected. That ended when I became an adult and realized that wasn't normal or healthy. She hung up on me. 2 weeks later I came home from my office to find my locks had been changed. My key didn't work. I called Richard immediately, then the police. When I called my parents' house from my car, Dad answered. Claire. Finally ready to talk sense. Did you change my locks? Marcus changed them. He and Jennifer moved in this morning. You can collect your things if you're reasonable about this. I felt eerily calm. So Marcus broke into my house and changed the locks. It's not breaking in. He used the spare key you keep under the flower pot. I'd removed that spare key 6 years ago, but apparently Marcus had made a copy before I did. That meant he'd been planning this. I'm calling the police, I said. Marcus has broken into my home, changed my locks without permission, and is unlawfully occupying my property. That's burglary and criminal trespassing. You wouldn't dare. I hung up and called 911. The police arrived in 7 minutes. I showed them my deed, my driver's license with this address, my utility bills, my property tax statements. Everything was in my name. Nothing was in Marcus's name. When officers entered my house, after I gave them permission as the legal owner, they found Marcus and Jennifer unpacking boxes in my bedroom. My belongings had been thrown into garbage bags in the garage. Marcus was arrested. So was Jennifer, though she sobbed through the entire process. The charges were burglary, criminal trespassing, and vandalism. They damaged my bedroom door when forcing it open. My parents arrived as Marcus was being put in the police car. Mom screamed at me. You're having your pregnant sister-in-law arrested. What kind of monster are you? The kind who doesn't let people steal her house, I said. Dad looked destroyed. We'll never forgive you for this. I'm okay with that. They posted bail for Marcus and Jennifer, $15,000 each. They had to take out a loan to cover it. Richard filed for a restraining order the next day. The judge granted it immediately given the break-in and arrest. My parents, Marcus and Jennifer had to stay at least 500 feet from me and my property. Then things got worse for them. Marcus's employer found out about the arrest. Someone sent them screenshots of his Facebook posts along with the arrest record. They fired him. Their policy was clear. Employees arrested for theft-related crimes were terminated immediately. Without Marcus's income, he and Jennifer couldn't afford their apartment. They moved in with my parents, who lived in a small 2-bedroom condo. It was cramped, exactly the situation they tried to avoid. My mother called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered before checking. Claire, please. You've made your point. Drop the charges. Marcus lost his job. They have nowhere to go. He committed a crime, I said. Those are consequences. He's your brother, who broke into my house and tried to steal it. We'll pay you rent if you let them stay there. Please. No. The house is mine. They're not living here. Ever. She called me names I won't repeat and hung up. The criminal case moved forward. Richard connected me with a prosecutor who was particularly interested in the case because of the social media defamation campaign Marcus had run. He tried to publicly shame you into giving up your property, the prosecutor, Amanda Reeves, explained. Then when that didn't work, he committed burglary. This shows premeditation and intent. The judge won't look kindly on that. Marcus's public defender tried to negotiate a plea deal. Richard and I refused unless it included full restitution for damages, a formal public retraction of all defamatory statements, and a permanent no-contact agreement. Marcus refused. He still believed he was the victim. The case went to trial 4 months later. It lasted 2 days. The evidence was overwhelming. The deed proving I owned the house, the locksmith records showing Marcus had hired someone to change the locks, the police reports, the Facebook post showing his campaign against me, testimony from Richard and Sheriff Mitchell. Marcus was convicted on all counts. The judge sentenced him to 18 months in prison, suspended to probation with 400 hours of community service, and ordered him to pay $23,750 in restitution for damages to my property, legal fees, and the cost of resecuring my home. He also had to issue a public retraction, which he posted on the same Facebook account where he defamed me. It got 43 likes compared to the 340 shares his original post received. Most people never saw the truth. Jennifer filed for divorce while Marcus was serving his community service. She moved back to her parents' house in Ohio. The baby, a girl, was born 3 months after the trial. Marcus has supervised visitation twice a month. My parents drove him to Ohio for these visits because his probation didn't allow him to leave the state unsupervised. My extended family fractured. About 60% sided with my parents and Marcus, calling me cruel and unforgiving. About 30% quietly admitted I'd done the right thing but didn't want to get involved. About 10%, mostly younger cousins who'd also been scapegoated in their own families, reached out to support me. My Aunt Rachel, Dad's younger sister, called me 6 months after the trial. "I should have said something earlier," she said. "Your parents always favored Marcus. I watched them excuse his failures and criticize your successes your whole life. You were smarter, harder working, more responsible, and they resented you for it because it made Marcus look bad by comparison." "I know," I said quietly. "What you did, standing up for yourself, enforcing your boundaries, refusing to be stolen from, that took courage. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry I didn't defend you when they were attacking you." "Thank you," I said and meant it. My parents tried one final manipulation 8 months after the trial. Mom was diagnosed with high blood pressure and stress-related health issues. Dad called from yet another unknown number. "Your mother is sick because of the stress you've caused. If something happens to her, it's on you." I'd been in therapy for 6 months by then. My therapist, Dr. Sarah Kim, had helped me understand the pattern of manipulation and emotional abuse I'd endured for decades. "Mom's health is her responsibility and her doctor's concern," I said, using the script Dr. Kim and I had practiced. "I'm not responsible for the consequences of other people's choices to commit crimes against me." "You're heartless." "I'm boundaried. There's a difference." He hung up. I haven't spoken to my parents or Marcus in 2 years now. The restraining order expired but I renewed it. Marcus completed his probation but has a criminal record that makes employment difficult. He works part-time at a warehouse. He lives with our parents still. He sees his daughter, who's now 2, twice a month under supervision because Jennifer doesn't trust him alone with her. My parents are still in their 2-bedroom condo, struggling financially because they're supporting Marcus and because they took out loans for his bail and legal defense. Dad had to delay retirement by at least 5 years. I'm still in my house. I renovated the bedroom Marcus and Jennifer damaged, turning it into a home office. I got a promotion last year. I'm now a principal architect making $215,000 annually. I'm seeing someone, a kind man named David who works in environmental law and thinks my boundaries are healthy and attractive. I sleep well at night. People sometimes ask if I feel guilty. If I regret how hard I came down on my family. If I wish I'd been more forgiving. The answer is no. My family didn't make a mistake. They made a calculated choice to try to take something that belonged to me because they believed Marcus's needs mattered more than my rights. When asked to leave, they escalated. When served with legal warnings, they committed crimes. At every single decision point, they chose entitlement over respect. I didn't ruin their lives. They ruined their own lives by believing they were entitled to my property, my labor, my sacrifice. I simply refused to participate in my own victimization. Dr. Kim calls this recovering from compulsory sacrifice. The expectation that certain family members must sacrifice infinitely for other family members, regardless of fairness or reciprocity. For 32 years I'd been the designated sacrifice. The scapegoat whose achievements were minimized and whose resources were considered community property for Marcus's benefit. Breaking free from that role cost me relationships with most of my family. But those relationships were built on my exploitation. They only worked when I accepted less than I deserved, gave more than was fair and stayed silent about the inequality. I don't miss them. I miss the fantasy of what I wished they could be. Parents who were proud of both their children, a brother who celebrated my successes instead of resenting them, a family where love wasn't conditional on self-erasure. But I don't miss who they actually are. My house has appreciated significantly. It's now worth $680,000, nearly triple what I paid. I have $340,000 in retirement savings. I have career success I earned through my own efforts. I have friends who respect me. I have a relationship built on mutual care rather than obligatory sacrifice. And I have something my family can never take from me, self-respect. Last month, my cousin Stephanie, who'd called me heartless 2 years ago, reached out. Her own parents had just demanded she co-sign a loan for her brother's failed business. When she refused, they called her selfish and threatened to cut her off. "I thought you were cruel," she wrote. "Now I understand. You were just the first one brave enough to say no. Can we talk? We had coffee last week. I told her everything I'd learned in therapy. I shared the boundary scripts Dr. Kim taught me. I explained that you can love your family and still refuse to be exploited by them. Don't they threaten to cut you off? She asked. They already did, I said. It was the greatest gift they ever gave me. Freedom. She's starting therapy next month. He's inspired. So am I. Because here's what I've learned. When toxic people make you choose between your well-being and their approval, choosing yourself isn't cruelty. It's survival. It's health. It's the only choice that leads to peace. I chose myself. I'd make the same choice again. And I'd encourage anyone in a similar situation to do exactly the same thing. My house is mine. My life is mine. My peace is mine. And no one, not family, not obligation, not guilt, will ever take those things from me again.